I understand that you have monkeypox now. So talk a little bit about, how long you've been dealing with this and how you're feeling today.
Yeah, so I am on day 20, or actually day 19, since I first saw symptoms. And it looks like I'm going to be in isolation for another week. That means I'm not allowed to see, touch, talk to people physically, which has not been great for my job since I have to obviously be in a gym with somebody. So I've been out of work for almost 3 weeks now and probably will be the entire month.
So how are you feeling? I mean, you look pretty good. How's it going at this point?
At this point, it's just kind of waiting for the lesions to heal over, which is the last step before you're allowed to go back into the world. But it was extremely painful. I have had a very mild case, only about 3, but I've seen some people have about 22 lesions, and those can be all over your body and sometimes even internal. I've heard the pain described as sitting on a hot curling iron, or an anecdote I got from a doctor that I did a Q&A with, a shard of glass in different places of your body being twisted. So it's incredibly, incredibly painful, possibly scarring. I had, like I said, a mild case. It was very painful when the lesions were full blown, but I'm much better now. I did have the symptoms of maybe like a flu, but those didn't happen until after I saw the lesions, and those were aches, low fever, and chills.
Can you talk a little bit about what the diagnosis process was like for you? A lot of people have said they had a hard time being able to get a test for it and get to a doctor. Talk about your experience.
Yeah, so I first realized my symptoms about on the 6th of this month. And I had been watching the news, listening to the news, so I was like, ooh, maybe this is this. I've never had like an STI, but it was presenting itself that way to me. So I went to my local clinic around the block, asked them to test me for everything plus monkeypox. Was supposed to get the test results a couple days later, went in to check, and everything was negative. And it turns out they had actually given me the wrong test to find out if it was monkeypox. So by this time I was already feeling symptoms, but because the test said I didn't have monkeypox, the only reason I knew was because I had done my research and known that they had not given me the right test. So I had to end up going to the ER. It was a 5-hour process because at that point in time, you had to call the CDC and the Department of Health just to get tested. So it was about 4 hours of this ER's time just to get me tested. And then the test results, which were supposed to come back 1 to 2 days later, actually didn't come for another 6 days. So by that time, I was already a week in and having full-blown symptoms.
Wow. I mean, that's just an awful process for anybody to have to go through. And it's amazing that it's taken that much effort just to find out whether you have monkeypox. Will, have you spoken to any doctors since then in terms of what sort of treatment might be best for you at this point? And is there any recommendation that you still get vaccinated after you recover?
Those are some great questions. I've been lucky enough to have a pretty strong Instagram presence, and I've been trying to share this information just because, like I said, at the very beginning of the month, there was no information about this, especially the way it was presenting to me, a mild case that was not on my hands or feet at the time. So I was actually told by the first person I saw that you don't have monkeypox, there's no way. So I found the anecdotal information on Instagram very helpful. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do. And I've been presented with the opportunity to do interviews like this and including Q&As with doctors. So I've been told by doctors connected to the CDC that if you are infected, that you have decades of immunity after you get over it. But you should get vaccinated if you have not had it. Obviously, I have. There's also a treatment called TPOXX, which, as you saw earlier in this segment, very difficult to get to. It was very difficult to get, especially at the very beginning of this. I saw an article that said doctors would have to fill out 6 hours of paperwork per patient, which, if you're a doctor, that's 2 patients a day, because it's an experimental drug by the FDA. So they want to track everything. Yeah. So it's been incredibly difficult to get the vaccine and incredibly difficult to get the possible treatment.
Well, Will Hutcheson, we appreciate you talking to us today, sharing your experience, helping to educate people about monkeypox, and we wish you the best in your recovery.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.